PM, can I bring you back to the US-China relations? May I ask your opinion about how will the new US election result affect China? And could it also impact Singapore's trade and economy, considering that Singapore has a strong trade relationship with both US and China? Do you foresee any risks arising from their tensions?
Where our bilateral relations with the US is concerned, I think we will be able to continue to work well with the new administration. We've worked with Mr. Trump before when he was president. Under his watch, we extended our MOU on defense. We continue to grow our trade and investment links between Singapore and the US in a very productive manner. So I think bilaterally, we look forward to working closely with the new team. Where China is concerned, I think it remains to be seen because we've heard what Mr. Trump hopes to do in his campaign, but what he actually does, I think we'll have to see, including what happens with the key members of his administration and the key members of his cabinet. But I would say, taking a step back, setting aside whether the issue of who is in power in the administration, the broad dynamics in the US-China relationship is one where we are very concerned about. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, the US-China relationship is in a challenging place, regardless of who is in power, right? Because on the US side, while America remains a preeminent power in many dimensions, across many dimensions, they can see China coming up on the rise, and America has to decide what to do with this, to treat this as an existential threat and therefore to contain China, or to embrace China and accept China as a major power in its own right. That's a decision that America has to decide on, and then it has to think about what steps to take to engage China, depending on that decision. On China's part, it too has decisions to make, because the China today is not the China that existed when it first entered the WTO. So concessions that were given to China years back or decades back are probably not so relevant today, given where China's weight is in the global economy. And China too, as a rising global power now, has to consider what responsibilities it undertakes to uphold the international order. So these are decisions that the two major powers will have to make, and these are consequential decisions because the decisions that both sides take will determine the future global order. We hope leaders on both sides will make the wise choices to engage one another, to find a way to coexist with one another, where they can have a framework where they compete, but at the same time cooperate on issues of shared concerns. And where possible, Singapore will do our part to facilitate such a relationship.